I'm Steve Pleich, and welcome to this edition of Voices from the Village. Tonight we'll be talking about Mhcan, the Mental Health Clients Action Network, and their motto, "Nothing about us without us." I think it's a wonderful kind of a thought that they have. It's a wonderful training. It's a wonderful model that they use. And we'll be talking a lot about Mhcan, a lot about the challenges of mental health in Santa Cruz County. And I'm really happy to have with me people who work with Mhcan, who know a lot about it, and in fact, one of the founding members, in fact. So Adrienne Bolles, welcome, Adrienne. Matt Davis, welcome to you. Tina Jaquez, welcome to you. And Helen Bradley, Helen, welcome.
Thank you.
Adrienne, you were one of the original incorporators of Mhcan, so tell us a little bit tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the history.
Okay, well, I was born in Santa Cruz on Emma Line in 1970.
Okay.
Went to Branciforte Junior High and Harbor High School, and some time at Cabrillo. And let's see, I'm going to go into talking about Mhcan.
Sure, please.
There was a group from UCSC originally got together called PERC, which was Psychiatric Inmates' Rights Collective. And they were advocating for mental health persons who were in locked facilities. And I believe at that time, that's when Sylvia Harris became one of the members.
Good, yeah.
And she goes way back. And then they were two different groups together. PERC continued, but Mhcan also started, and Bonnie Shell was the original executive director, and we got incorporated in 1995.
All right, okay.
Yeah, so it's about 20 years old that we've had Mhcan. And the really significant thing is that there was, at the state level and at our community level, a movement for mental health clients to advocate for themselves, to get jobs in the mental health system for ourselves, and to help each other from lived experience. And so I think it's very exciting that we have a center like Mhcan where people can come and have classes, sing at music class, or have acupuncture, or any number of things, but it's staffed by mental health clients for mental health clients. And that's really important because a lot of money is spent on mental health and rarely is spent on clients empowering themselves or others.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to me that the mission of Mhcan is to help people find their dreams. And yet you're all working together to help each other find your dreams. So I think that's a wonderful thing that's happening there. Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became involved and engaged with Mhcan.
Well, I had been going since about 1997. I went to a group there, some people call it class, and you get to share about I have a diagnosis. So the class I went to was schizophrenia support. So I go in there. We all have the same diagnosis. So I go there. We talk about our lives and our problems and stuff. And I went there for that. And then in 2001, I was hired as a receptionist / counselor, and I had been doing that since 2013. And I had been terminated in 2013. Mainly because of my diagnosis. I have problems keeping jobs, and I think I have delusions and stuff that creep up on me and sabotage my working. So I was very respected the director a lot when she told me I had to leave. She said, "You're a great employee, you're a great counselor, we love having you here, you just have a little bit of problem with anger." And I think that has to do with my illness.
Of course.
And I said, well, if you're going to be so respectful and stuff, I don't think I'm going to leave, I'm just going to volunteer. So you may not pay me, but I'll still do the things I was doing before that I'm not on paid duty for, which was schizophrenia support, which we had started in 2004, 2005, something like that, and a quitting smoking class.
Good for you.
So I still do those things. I had been doing those ever since. I'm not on we have something called a front desk, and that's what I had been doing since 2000. And I'm not on that anymore, but I do the schizophrenia support in the quitting smoking class. Now we call schizophrenia symptom management. Kind of, you don't have to have the diagnosis of schizophrenia to be in the group, and it kind of we address symptoms of mental illness in the group. I some people call it class, and that's what it's for.
Yeah.
And I guess been doing that.
Well, you're a peer, and you're giving your fellow peers support, and that's what it's all about. Tina Jaquez, welcome. See your son over here watching eagerly. You're making your debut here with us at Voice of the Village. Welcome to you. You're a peer staff member. Tell us about that work for you.
So when I first started, just telling you a little bit about myself, I came as a support for a friend that wanted to attend group at Mhcan, and I didn't know nothing about Mhcan, but he would attend, I believe it might have been schizophrenia support, but I would go with him and hang out downstairs and go to other meetings, but then I found a women's meeting there, and started going there for a while, and then I would volunteer just cleaning up, and then I was asked to be a shadow speaker, and slowly just eventually asked to be staff. And I mean, I fill out application, and I like being there. And I work at the desk. I do intake. I do. We have a lot of food distribution there. We have food distribution every day of the week. So bringing food in, distributing food. Sometimes I'll just sit and talk to somebody for an hour.
Right.
There's great days and good days and bad days, and sometimes people just want to talk. So, and I also run 2 groups, so I interact with a lot of people there, and it's really good. I feel really good about it when I go home at the end of the day.
That's wonderful. And Helen Bradley, Helen, welcome.
Thank you.
I, as you know, help out with the Monday coffee house at Calvary Episcopal, and once a month the shadow speakers come over. Wonderful, it's very moving testimony, and you're one of the folks who is there always. Tell us about your work with Mhcan and with the shadow speakers.
Well, I've been a shadow speaker about 2 years and some months. And I have my own class there, my own group on Tuesdays. It's called NA/AANA. And we talk about, I bring in a speaker, an outside person sometimes. And then sometime I have one of the my peers to talk about, to tell their story. And I really enjoy doing that. And as a shadow speaker, I really enjoy that because it brought a lot out of me. With me being the age I am, and I have 5 children and 16 grandchildren and 10 great-granny girls, so, I don't have time for anger, and I take some anger management class. I don't go like I used to go, but it really helped me. So, and then I'm a peer-to-peer person, and I help a lot of people there, and I volunteer to do a lot of things there.
Beautiful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I'll remind you that this is a call-in show, 425-4844. Oh, wait a minute. 425-4844. Is that what it is we got up on the screen there? 8848. 8848. Okay, I think, okay. 425-8848, remind me, extension 30. So if you have a question for any of our panelists, please call in and ask them about this really fascinating and wonderful work that they do. Now, Adrienne, are you still involved with Mhcan? You originally incorporated, of course, you're like the founding member. So, so what's your relationship to Mhcan now?
Well, I feel really close to it. I was 24, I'm now 44. I was 24 when I got to know Bonnie Shell and was hired as a manager for Mhcan. And that was really kind of in our infancy, that was before we had computers, and I was also the secretary, like the manager was the floor manager and the secretary and all that stuff. And now we have those positions, and now they have grants, and so it's grown a lot. But now I go to Mhcan for groups. The music group I love at 9 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday with Thomas, and there are support groups which I enjoy, and for the food pantry because I'm on disability and it's very hard to survive on $900 a month.
Yes,
so with rent and a car and everything, so the food is really it's a godsend. So I go there.
And that's a terrific program. 1051 Cayuga is where Mhcan is located. I really first became aware of Mhcan through Sarah Leonard, who is your wonderful executive director. Sarah, sorry you couldn't be here this evening, but we'll soldier on without you as best we can. But Sarah and I both shop, she for Mhcan and myself for the Shelter Project at Second Harvest Food Bank. On Thursday mornings out in Watsonville, so she would tell me about Mhcan and what's going on, and I became, gradually got more and more interested in what was going on over there. Went over and visited. It's wonderful. You have the great chill space, the computer room, and they serve food, all the time, as well as having food pantries. And on the website, if anybody looks mhcan.org, if we get much more information than we can really, convey this evening in our short time, there is scores of different things going on. It's remarkable the amount of activity and support there is over there. But one of the things that I have learned, as you probably know, I was recently elected as the chairman of the board of directors of Mhcan. So I'm kind of getting myself up to speed on the IPS, the intentional peer support model, which is the foundational model for Mhcan. And Matt, you have some experience with that. Tell us a little about that.
Well, one thing I can remember clearly is there's four principles or 4 points. Is that first is come alongside, second or third is worldview, after that, or I'm not sure which is which in the order.
Well, I've got a crib sheet here, so I can tell you. The one is connection, peer-to-peer support can't happen where there is no connection. One is the worldview that you were talking about. This speaks to the importance of understanding
Mutuality.
of how each of us have come to know what we know here. Mutuality. Apparently that is where we must acknowledge each other, and then moving forward.
Towards,
so, yeah. So I've got the crib sheet, but go on, please.
Well, no, it's good. I guess they teach you to come alongside the person that comes to you. At Mhcan, there's a lot of people that need that kind of support, and they teach you how to have compassion on them and encourage them in a way that they can relate to and respond to. And it's just kind of like a format by which we reference a model or a style by which to support the clients.
And it's interesting you use the word compassion, because there really has been so much said in our community about compassion recently, the Charter of Compassion, which the mayor is very much supportive of, but just what it means to be a compassionate community. And I think if you look at Mhcan, that's the model of a compassionate community. Tina, you have any experience with the IPS model that you can share with us?
I really don't know how to answer that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, it's something that I'm just kind of getting myself up to speed on as well, and I think that anyone who is interested in a working model of how people can support one another in facing mental health challenges is wonderful. Getting back to, I think one of the things that I've enjoyed most about my introduction to Mhcan is the courage, and the honesty of the shadow speakers. That's just unbelievable, really. And Helen, why don't you share a story that you have as a shadow speaker, because you have so many wonderful stories. But
I really do have a lot of them. Well, I can really say that going to Mhcan has helped me a lot, especially the anger management group. With me being the age I am and a lot of things that I have been through in my life, my young life, as a married woman with children, I have had a lot of anger in me, and just taking up that anger management class, I had 29 years of anger in my body. I had a hole that big, and just taking up that class has released all of that anger. I can truly say that. And the spirituality that I have in me now helps me to be a better person today. And that's what I give out. It's my spiritual part of me. I truly know that there's a God, because he's brought me a mighty long way. Excuse me. And I don't know, it's just Mhcan. It gives me something to do on a daily basis and a night basis.
Right.
Because they have groups there at nighttime. And I attend the night groups, you know, and
Now, I was telling you that once a month on Mondays, a shadow speaker come over to the Red Church.
Yes,
And
we come to the
now
I love over
you
there.
must go many other places as
oh
well.
God,
Yeah.
yes I do.
Yeah.
I go to PHF, I go to the Little Red Church, I go to Casa Pacific, I go to 7th Avenue, I go to El Dorado, oh God, Santa Cruz Residential, and Janice.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes, I go there. But I love Janice, I love going there.
Yeah.
And because it's about NA and, you know, AA.
Right.
And I've been there on both of those accounts. And thank God I've been clean for 23 and a half years from alcohol, only by the grace of God. And I have 13 and a half years from cocaine. And only by the grace of God, and I do mean that. And I've died 3 times and I'm still alive, only by the grace of God again. But Mhcan really helps me. And they pray, you know, we pray for each other there. You know, we do things for each other there. And that's what makes it good. I've accumulated a lot of good friends since I've been there. I have phone numbers, you know, people that I can call, like Tina. I can call her. I can call or text Sarah at any time. And we have this other girl named Gracie. You know, we just a family.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah.
You know, we're there for each other, no matter what.
Well, I know that when you are at the Red Church, Chris Colon is there with his
Yeah.
wonderful testimony, and Joe Pace, and people like
Yes.
that. Matt, of course.
Yes.
That's terrific. I'll remind our viewers again, 425-8848, extension 30, and I got it right that time. So anybody wants to call in and ask a question of our panelists, please feel free. Can any of you speak to the relationship between Janice of Santa Cruz and Mhcan? Is that a working relationship of some kind? Do you know?
Well, all that I can say about that is that we have a variety of places where we go to do shadow speaking. And when Helen said the PHF, it's also called the BHU, or it's the Behavioral Health Unit or mental hospital locally here. And I do Saturday night shadow speaking there. And so we try to bring our own story, but also the recovery model to every place that we can. It's and recovery within a mental illness, not necessarily with alcohol and drug addiction, but as its own thing. You have to recover with mental illness, and then many people have the dual issue of recovering with drugs and alcohol. So they do meetings, shadow speakers who are assigned do meetings at Janice.
And now at Mhcan, do they have NA or AA meetings, or you go? They have them there.
Yeah.
I have one. I have my own group.
Oh, you have your own group.
Yes.
Okay.
It's called NA/AANA, Anonymous. And it's about alcohol and drugs. Yeah. And I do it every Tuesday.
There's overeaters there. There's people
Overeaters.
that sugar, refrain from sugar. There's so many, any type of addiction we have.
type.
That
That's
anyone
the
could go up
any
there and talk
part.
at the podium.
If I can make a comment about what Adrienne said.
Please.
She said we recovery model about mental illness. That's true, but I find in my groups and a lot of people, and I think with her, if I may say, yours is recovery is mostly about your diagnosis, but I think a lot of people, they it goes both ways. They may use drugs or alcohol because of a mental illness to self-medicate, and a lot of times they may use drugs and alcohol become mentally ill from using.
That's interesting. So now, how many clients does Mhcan serve? Do you have any rough estimates?
Tina would know that.
So there's daily we have a sheet we go by. It's 52 that we're supposed to have during a day. And then there's staff. That's not really included, but 52. And a lot of, I mean, days we have to turn people away. So it's hard when we have to do stuff, when we have to do that. So we have 3 sheets that we go by to see who is kind of first priority.
Right.
And when the day is coming, sometimes it's 11 o'clock and we have to turn people away. So it's only been like that for a short period of time.
Right.
But it's really hard doing that now because we've been used to taking everyone in and just sometimes giving people a pair of socks or a pair of shoes. We have this big clothes bin and shoes bin, and when it's when it's an emergency like that, I need to turn somebody away. I will try to see if they need something to eat because we have a food pantry and we always have something. There's always food. So when I do have to turn somebody away, it's like, can I help you with something right now? What's your immediate emergency? Food, give them some bread to take with, or some ice cream. Recently we've been having a lot of ice cream. And
Notice that's one thing that the Second Harvest Food Bank, Sarah, has carts of it when she brings over. Adrienne, you had a comment?
I was going to say, it's really sad. In 20 years, we never had any harassment happen to us like that. But there are some individuals who went to the Planning Commission and they looked at our use permit and said, okay, we're going to mess with Mhcan, I don't know why, and not allow you to have more than 50 people per day. That never existed until this year, 2015, in 20 years.
And it's, speaking as the chairman of the board, it's one of the things that Sarah and I and the board are going to be addressing and working on.
Oh, great.
Talk to the Planning Commission of the city, talk to the Planning Commission of the county, and it's just unacceptable that people are turned away when there's so much need. Helen?
And now we are closed on Wednesdays, where we was open Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And now we don't, it's Wednesdays just a shutdown. And that's kind of bad for the people that's used to coming to have breakfast, to cook their own food and good food. So I think that's, but Sarah, do make some extended permission, for some of the people, which is a good thing.
And there are so many people in the city and county of Santa Cruz who are facing mental health challenges. And I'm sure that's difficult for them to be able to connect with something like Mhcan. What's the process of somebody who is having some challenges and wants to connect with a peer support organization like Mhcan? How do they do that?
Well, if they have a mental health diagnosis, or if they have a mental health disorder or problem of some sort, they probably see a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist can refer them. Most psychiatrists know about Mhcan, I would bet, and so they could probably refer them and explain where it is and tell them the open hours, at least give them the phone number. And then what we would do is have them do an intake. Some people, we need to have verification of a legitimate diagnosis, so we might ask them to get a referral from their psychiatrist just to verify that they have a legitimate diagnosis.
Helen?
Yeah, because some is now we have 2 sheets we sign, people that come in, county and non-county. So,
And we have, of course, on the screen, mhcan.org, the website, and of course the phone number there as well. Adrienne, in your experience, has that always been the case that you would have to have a diagnosis before you were able to access services at Mhcan?
Well, generally, the idea was we preferred, always preferred, if people could get a referral from a social worker or a nurse or a doctor. Back in the day, in '95, we didn't have intake sheets and things like that. But I think it's really appropriate so that Mhcan doesn't get exploited by people who are not part of the mental health community.
And who is it at Mhcan that will do the initial intake once there's a referral? Is that something that you would do, Tina?
So, so I was going to say something about what Matt said.
Please.
So you don't necessarily have to just be referred from your doctor. A lot of people just come in because their friends told them about it, or people hear about Mhcan. So if you come in without a doctor telling you, just someone telling you, then anyone new that has to come in will do an intake, and from there we'll have them have their doctor, or if they don't have a doctor, help them get refer. Just tell them where they could go. But trying to get those people in the door and let them know, because a lot of times it's scary. There's a lot of people that don't want to maybe face that they have a mental illness, or it's so, I don't want to say, the way I felt when I didn't want to admit that I had any type of thing going on with myself. So it was hard for me to go through those doors and say I was going here for myself now. So, but the intake is very simple, and we'll help you that day. Then you get any type of a referral from a doctor, nurse that of your diagnosis.
And I know that being over at Mhcan now more frequently, it's a very welcoming space,
Yes.
and certainly welcoming and reassuring for people who are having mental health challenges, to know that there are people there who are their peers, frankly. And I think that that's one of the important features of Mhcan. People should know, just as an organization, that the Mhcan board is a peer review board. 2/3 of that board must be a client, must be a peer.
Yes.
And so
the board,
it's,
yeah.
it's the
That's
nothing
good.
about us without us that was so striking to me when I first at my first meeting as chairman this last month, and I have my second tomorrow night, in fact. But that was one of the most striking things to me, most traumatic, was the nothing about us without us. And I think that really is very important for people who are seeking help, not only for themselves, but maybe to be able to reach out and help others, which I think is another thing about Mhcan that's unique. Before Mhcan was founded in 1995, was there anything else similar to that? What were people doing then?
Before it became incorporated, Bonnie was running the Little Blue House at Emmeline, and before that there was Perk, but there wasn't anything peer run. I mean, we can go through the system to many places that are run for us by so-called experts and professionals, but there's nothing that was empowering or recovery model, or where people were saying, hey, you may have, and as in my case at 19, you're going to have depression and anxiety for life, but you can be stable and you can be productive, and come see what you can do here, So
Now, does Mhcan, how often do they have availability of counselors or psychiatric therapists or that kind of thing?
we don't have any professional
Is that right?
staff.
No professional
No,
staff?
it's
Okay.
a lot of people actually prefer it that way. They've had traumatic experiences through where their own county or Santa Cruz with mental health professionals, or in the jails, or just being picked up by police. There's a kind of almost a shade of criminalization of mental illness, that when people are sick, the ambulance doesn't come, a police officer comes, as if you broke a law, which is really, I don't think any other illness would be treated this way. And I always say the brain is in the body, so let's treat it like any physical
And I
illness.
think, Helen, please.
Yes, we used to have Dr. Tiabar there,
Oh, Tiberbach.
We had
Tiabar.
Tiberbach, we
Tiabar.
had Dr. Weber,
and Dr. Weber.
or Helen Litweiler,
Yeah,
and Robert Annan.
yeah. But they're no longer there.
And I think it's one of the concerns in our society generally is the overprescribing of psychotropic medications and whatnot. And I think that's something that perhaps still exists to a great extent, but maybe an IPS model is able to bring some common sense to that.
Well, I think my philosophy, I teach symptom management, have for, I don't know how long, at least 10 years, and my philosophy is, it's two parts: medication and symptom management. If you can take your medication, remember to take it on time, that's half of it. The second half is managing your symptoms. And that can be done. It's not impossible.
So we were talking earlier about the challenges of use permits and negotiating with the county and the city. Has that relationship in the past been better? No?
We were never targeted in any way until
Yeah.
recently. Yeah, no one ever did that. It's sad. It's stigma, and I think there's a greed aspect that someone would like to run a business and not have mental health clients nearby.
So I know that a typical day over there, they have a breakfast. There used to be.
No,
was a-
we're not allowed to do breakfast for
You're not
everyone.
allowed to do breakfast
You
now,
have
is
to
that-
cook for yourself
You have to cook
if
for
you want
yourself.
to.
Oh, okay.
But we're not allowed to cook for people.
All right. Okay. So now, Tina, what's your average day like over there? Take us through. You're driving up. You're opening the door. You're walking through. What's your activity schedule over there?
So what I would do, I would come in and check in with staff. Usually I have 2 people with me on the floor, so that's what it's called, floor of the desk. And since the person I'm working with, she's had some recent hand surgery, so I'm on the floor. So I'm running around and helping people, and she's at the desk doing intake mostly. But in the morning, I'll go in and there's a line outside already, people wanting to come in, sitting outside or in a line trying to get in first to get seats to get in the food pantry, because you can just put a chair out and people get lined up. So I'll go get everyone's names, and so it's easier when everyone comes in. So everyone's all over the place. So I get them when they're outside, and people are talking to me, and come inside, and there's making coffee. Someone makes coffee and puts a lot of like pastries and fresh fruit on the table, apples or whatever we have. But there's stuff so when people go in, you could get something to eat. And it's kind of hectic the first 2 hours, and people coming in. We have a washer and dryer, so someone's always wanting to wash. We have a list of priorities, priority. There's a few people there that are homeless and or just have their own personal issues that we put them on the top of the list. So we're able to wash clothes. So most of the time I'll be putting some, helping them do the laundry. And food pantry will be coming, so getting the kitchen ready. We have a list for people that want to cook, so making sure that people are following that list, who's cooked already, just making sure everything's in order.
Helen?
And I've gotten so I come like 8:30 because I get up early. And then when I get there, if it's chaos for Tina or Ann or whoever there,
Right.
I just volunteer to do something, and then, just move it out. And I'm a music person.
Good, well.
I love gospel music,
Good.
and I love Marvin Gaye.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
put the little music
Oh,
on,
yeah.
and that kind of smooth everything out, and everything goes great.
Yeah, we give it a-
We help each other. That's what I like.
We give a little shout out to Ann too. But there's so much need, and you were mentioning that earlier. People, to get to the front of the line, they get a pair of socks, they get a loaf of bread or something like that. Have you noticed over at Mhcan, since you're there day to day, whether that need seems to have increased with the reduced services at Homeless Services Center, where there's no laundry available now anymore, they don't do breakfast anymore?
Yeah, when the shelter first shut down, everyone came to Mhcan, and it was harder for intake, and but still trying to help people. So because there was a lot of people that were trying to come to Mhcan that necessarily didn't have any type of mental illness and just wanted to be there because there's nowhere else to go. So it was just everyone was there. So it was kind of more staff was paying attention to who was coming in the door, but there was always a need. They thought we had showers at Mhcan, and we have room that. There's certain different rooms at Mhcan you can go to sleep.
Right.
So there's always groups going on, but there's also a sleep room.
Interesting.
TV.
I did not know
Yeah, TV room,
TV.
and just like the music. There's just people can just hang out and watch TV if you want. People
One
don't
thing
have
I
access to
noticed, yeah.
cable, and
It's a wonderful chill space. there.
yeah, exactly. So when the shelter closed, it was just like everyone came to us, and it's like I said, it's hard to turn people away. And there was some people that they needed some. Maybe needed some help, but I couldn't fully help them because they didn't want to do an intake, or a lot of people have issues with admitting or even having to do that, putting their name on paper saying that they have those problems.
Absolutely.
Probably most of the clients won't admit, if they do have some sort of diagnosis, they won't admit it. But we have to be, Tina, more so than me, but we learn to be detectives, and kind of, if they have a name, like they put a name down like a coordinator that we know who it is, or a psychiatrist, we assume they probably have a diagnosis. But and you could also read people a little bit.
Yeah.
I should think you would be able to, yeah. Adrienne, you were going to say something?
I was going to say the most important thing or medicine for staying stable is sleep. And
There you go. Yeah.
and all people, including normal people will really lose it after 3 or 4 days of not having sleep. So that's why people are allowed to sleep in the TV room upstairs or some other quiet space. And I think it's part of the package. When you're living in Santa Cruz, you're growing up in Santa Cruz, if you have a diagnosis of mental illness, at some point you will be homeless. And that happened to me 3 different times. And so sleep becomes very difficult. And it's critical to have a place you can go and get a cup of coffee, especially on a rainy day, and later get some sleep.
And it's interesting that you mentioned sleep. I've been a homeless advocate in town here for a while now, and one of the things that we're doing is trying to find safe place for people to sleep. Just to lay their burdens down for an evening and be able to relax and rest themselves so that the next day they can get up refreshed and maybe get back in the job market, back in the housing market, back into finding some help for themselves to raise themselves up out of reduced circumstances. And as you know, you cannot sleep in our libraries. They won't let you do that. People patrol that all the time. So it's wonderful that, of all the great things that MH can, and here I'll pause for a moment to mention your terrific, wonderful executive director, Sarah Leonard. Sarah, shout out to Sarah.
We love Sarah Leonard.
She is the most courageous, fearless,
diligent,
peer that I've ever been around in my short time with this. And I'll let her know right now, while you're here, that the new board of directors is going to do everything they can to support her in every way that they can.
Thank you.
That's great.
Exactly,
I feel
what
she's
it
the
should
best.
be.
She's the best executive director we've ever had, and I've been watching us grow for 20 years. And
I think
she's
that too.
So compassionate, and she gets things done too.
That's the thing.
And
she
again,
really does.
compassion. That leadership, comes from the top. It kind of permeates down sometime into the people that you're working, your peers. And I think that just setting a tone for MHCAN. That's the one thing that I kind of experienced when I went over there. Kind of the atmosphere. It's welcoming.
Yes.
Even with the obvious restrictions you have on how many people can be there, when they can be there, or whether or not they have to be diagnosed or not. There is still that welcoming atmosphere, and that's a testimony to people sitting around this table.
Yes, she's been a big help to me. I can truly say that.
Incidentally, when I got terminated is because I had a bit of I said anger issues, but I had a bit of she said I was hostile at times. She said she thought I was overworked. Helen knows me. But she wasn't putting up with that. She had said to me that this is an ongoing issue with me working there. She said to me, the previous director had said to me, this Matt and another guy, I won't say his name, but are rude to people. I said, I might be rude to people, but I don't mean to be rude. She wasn't buying it. She wasn't buying. No. When eventually it got too much to be too much, and she let me go. And I have to say she won't put up with people being hostile.
Nonsense.
Nonsense.
Yeah. Everybody has to feel welcome. I go around town, I'll go into stores and everything, and you watch people without a diagnosis and you see them buying expensive things, and maybe you might get to talk to the cashier at a store, but if you're not going to school and you're not working, you're just disabled, and especially if it's severe, there's very few people that will talk to you, especially at any length.
Right.
So at MHCAN, it doesn't matter if I've combed my hair or not that day. It doesn't matter how bad depression is or whatever. I just come as I am and have coffee and readjust and say, okay, these are my people. Right. I don't have to impress these people. I don't have to keep up a facade. None of that.
And I was looking on the website, the events calendar. They're too numerous, really, to mention all the things that are going on over there. But how many classes of all different kinds are offered over there during any given week?
Well, that's a hard question to answer because each day there's at least
3,
4 or 5.
maybe.
We have yoga. I do dual diagnosis on Mondays, and I have a women's group, and there's yoga, there's acupuncture. There's just always so much, and we try to spread it out so it's not 2 days in a row the same group.
Right.
So, but there's just so many support groups there. It's just awesome.
If you want a number, that's probably.
Oh, I wasn't. I was just marveling at how many there were.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
30 maybe.
Is there an acupuncturist who's available?
Yes.
Oh, is that
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
From seven branches.
Yeah.
Or no, five branches.
Five branches. There you go. You give him
George.
You give him 2 extra branches.
I know. Well, he's very perceptive.
five.
He's very
Yeah, just the
perceptive, so he
five.
has
Yeah.
antenna. But
And
yeah,
then
George is
there are
wonderful.
5 night classes, night groups, because I attend those. I know it's 5, Monday through Friday. No, I'm lying. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. No, it's 7. 7.
7 of them. There's what is
7
it?
nights.
Yeah, there's Pagans in Recovery
The
on
Pagans.
Sunday.
Yeah, that's tonight.
Yeah, and
And
what's
then
on
on
Mon-
Saturdays is James meeting, total
Assets, that's right.
Yeah, that's a good one. I go
Yeah.
to that. And then Friday, I can't think the name of that one.
But
Is that the-
seemingly there's
yeah.
there's something.
And then on Mondays night, we have a good women's group.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, the
Yeah.
women's group, yeah.
I don't want to say the name.
Yeah, don't say
Yeah,
that.
I'm not going to say the name, but it's a good group. It's
Now, is there a crossover there? Because a few years back, I was a domestic violence victims advocate with the Bolles Women's Center and worked on their hotline. Is there a crossover with domestic violence and mental health challenges that you see at Mhcan? Do you deal with that at all?
Yeah, you might think so, but I don't see that.
I don't see
I
it.
don't see that.
Yeah, I'm sure it happens. Periodically we'll see somebody, but because it is very easy when you have a marginalized person to then
Right.
confine them and isolate them more and debase them more. But generally, we don't see, thank goodness, a lot of
It's not a
abused
lot.
people.
Well, again, I say that it's amazing how many programs that you really have over there. Matt, what's your average day over there? You walk in the door,
Well, I can tell
what are
you,
doing?
I'm there on Tuesday and Friday every week. There every other Thursday for shadow speakers at 12. Other than that, I'm probably not there on a given week. On Tuesday, I do symptom management. That's at 10 a.m., 10 to 11. And after that, I used to like to hang out. Tina would be at the desk most of the time, so I like to hang out and just sit around. But I've been doing data entry, that we keep records of people that show up, the intake, somebody said. So we have those entered into a database.
Ah, okay.
And my job, part of my job had always been, since I had been hired in 2000, was to enter the daily attendance records into the database. So I still do that now, volunteering, and they do it at the desk too. I help with that. So I do that most Tuesdays after I get out of symptom management. I might go get something to eat or go have a word with somebody, and I'll do that till about maybe from 11:30 till about 3 or 2:30 or 3. That's what I've been doing last week or two.
Well,
On-
you're busy doing
Yeah.
what you do.
On
so-
Friday I do tobacco free, which
Okay.
is a quitting smoking group. So I do that on Friday.
That's wonderful.
Smoking cessation. Yeah.
Smoking cessation.
Oh, okay. And so now there's a whole host of programs. What for the shadow speakers particularly is do you have people come up to you and say, "Well, I'd like to be a shadow speaker"? Is there like a training or something you go through, or because I know talking to Chris, who's a good friend. He says, "Well, I'm training to be a shadow speaker. And I'm really excited. I'm going to get out and do that." And Chris, it took a long time for him to get up and tell his story. And it's wonderful, moving testimony every time he does it. But he was kind of so. What's that like for somebody?
Well, I'm a team captain for the shadow speakers. Sarah did that for me, and I like it. So they come up to me and they ask me, could they get on shadow speakers list? And then I go to Sarah and I talk to her about it.
Right.
And then I can truly say, Sarah will find a spot for you. So most of everyone that has came to me to ask about being a shadow speaker, they have spoken.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you do a little role play or something? I mean, do you speak in front of the group before you go out and speak at public venues?
We
and
speak
whatnot?
in front of the
This
main
be
room.
We have a
The main
group
room.
on Thursdays, every Thursday. So many of us speak this Thursday and then next Thursday. We try to get everybody in on it.
There was one other thing that and of course there's a lot of things we could talk about, but I think it was over the holidays, was it the people from Mhcan that actually came that sang and played? Is that from Mhcan also?
No,
No,
that's not from
no.
Mhcan.
Okay.
That's
That
just
was-
a band that we hired.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I wondered.
Yeah, I can't wait till the holidays come.
Yeah, they
I'm
have
excited.
They have
'Cause
a
I'd be a
pretty
judge.
epic Christmas party, and it's combined with Mhcan and NAMI, National Alliance Mental
Yeah.
Health.
Okay, all right.
And so hosts a really fantastic Christmas party.
Oh,
and
yes.
I think
Ugh.
the numbers were like, was it close to 200?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can give people jackets and socks and stuff, and those are donated from NAMI's budget.
Now, do you go, please, no selling.
And we also have a talent show once a year.
A talent show. Tell me
Yes.
about that now.
Well, we do. We have a talent show, and we all dress up in our little costumes, And one year I had a dog. It was a stuffed dog, and I put him on a skateboard, and I skated him in there.
Oh, for goodness
We
sake.
just have different things, and then we have people that do poems and just different things. And we have a lady named Carol. She has Photon.
Okay.
And we love Photon.
And I know I've seen folks doing arts and crafts. There's
Yes.
because one thing, you're in there. It's peer support. You're trying to find your dream.
Yeah.
But there's also people expressing their creative side.
Yes. yes.
Well, yeah, we have an art room.
We have an art room upstairs.
Oh yeah, we do haircuts.
Then we have arts and crafts
Okay.
downstairs, and we
You
have
need a haircut?
Yeah, well, maybe come over and get a little something. But no, tell me about, because the arts and crafts, that was very interesting to me.
So upstairs is art room. So it's like, they have painting and pastel and just different types of art, on paper art. And then downstairs there's different groups that is like beading and let me see, collages. Carol used to do collages, and there's crocheting. There's just a lot of different
Oh, yeah, there's
stuff you could
knitting.
make art out of: knitting, crocheting.
We mentioned a computer.
Yeah.
Now, has there ever been kind of an art fair there where people
Yes.
can kind of
Yeah.
exhibit
Yes.
their...
Yeah, we have.
yes.
Carol Collin.
Yeah.
Carol Collin. Okay,
helped
shout out to Carol
organize.
Collin.
Hey, Carol
Hey,
Collin.
Carol.
She helped organize an art fair that we had. She wants to do another one close to the holidays
October, I believe.
Yeah.
in October. Well,
Because I know that's something, again, this was my first board meeting last month, and then my second will be tomorrow night. But there was a lot of talk about, let's get an art festival going, let's do some things. And I'm very much in favor of that, as long as it's peer.
Yes.
Yeah.
As long as it's, I'm very much determined, in my view, because I'm not a peer, to make sure that this, nothing about us without us is, lives out that dream, because that just seems so vital and important to me. But there's a lot of talk about, well, they're going to do a Thanksgiving dinner, perhaps. Have they done a Thanksgiving dinner last year?
Yes.
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 Yeah, that was really great. I mean, so many people, I have never seen so many happy guys. Like, the guys were really happy because we had football on and people got turkey and gravy and everything. They were just beaming, and very much it's a family feeling because some of us have known each other for almost
Yeah.
20 years, So I enjoyed that.
Helen?
And a lot of us peers, we get a lot of turkeys in, and we take them home. The ones that have apartments, and we cook and we help out like that, and bring them back in already cooked. So because it be so many, then it just be so nice.
Yeah.
And things. Whatever Mhcan has given since I've been going, and I've been going for a few years now. It's been great.
Yeah.
I have no complaints
So
about
who's the
Mhcan.
chief cook and bottle washer over there on the
All of
Thanksgiving
us.
dinner? All of you.
Yeah.
All of us.
Because I know that they have the very nice dining room facility and the kitchen in there, and I did go by. I've been involved the last few years with what was the Vets Hall Thanksgiving dinner, and then we moved it over to the Civic when the Vets Hall was red tagged, and now we're back at the Vets Hall again. But I had an occasion because we had other extra stuff, and we brought it over to Mhcan and made sure there was pastries and some things, but it looked wonderful. And it really, I think that was one of my first visits there, before I got to know Sarah well and talked to her about MHCan and the challenges that MHCan has and will have in the future. But together we will all be able to address those challenges and move forward, I think. But we have a few minutes left. What's the future hold for MHCan in your opinion, Adrienne?
Well, maybe just maybe we'll get more grants and then be able to have more staff so that Sarah can be more supported, especially in the secretarial area, and just getting people working. It's difficult if you're on disability. They only allow you to make $80 a month, no more than that on SSI.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, there's a limit for me. On SSDI, you can make up to $1,000 a month.
Right.
So I volunteer. But other people can get paid positions, and it's really nice if people can have a paid job
No
instead
question of course.
Disability, or at the same time as disability.
And I think we all know that there's a certain self-image and integrity that goes along with getting a paycheck, and I'm earning my way, and I'm making some money, and I'm doing good things. Matt, I'm sure you're going to be with MHCan for the foreseeable future. What's it look like for you over there?
Same with what it is now, I suppose.
Only more of it and better, I guess.
Well, symptom management's going really well.
Yeah.
We got some regulars in there. I'll tell you one thing about one of my groups. Tobacco-free, people don't want to stop smoking out of them.
I'm going to turn my head.
Yeah, well, I guess you better. He's looking right at you.
So that's not real. That's not going like gangbusters. But the thing is that, real quick, is that I used to use tobacco and I quit, and so they approached me about doing a quit smoking group. So I started doing it. I found that it helps me not to go back to it. So that's why I do it.
And
So
Tina,
anyway,
for you, what's the future hold for you over at MHCan as a peer staff member?
The same thing. I hope we get some grants and be able to get Wednesday back. Get some, have some more people there to serve, and it's serving me so much better. My life has changed dramatically since I've been there, and I used to be on government assistance, and now I have a job at MHCan and be able to support myself and my son and pay my own bills, and and I go to work and I like going to work, and it's just great that I could be that person and people like go in and want to talk to me. Hey, Tina, can you help me with this? And I feel great, and it's helping my life out so much and my son, and it's just there's so much benefits there, and I want us to be there for many years to come.
And Helen, the shadow speakers, what's the future for you?
I love shadow
Since you and I are both going to live forever, we're not going to worry about time.
No, we're not worried about that. I've been living three times now, so I'm not going to worry about that no more. I'll just let that go. But I don't know. I love MHCan. MHCan has really given me a new life. With me being the age I am and not doing a lot, it gives. I don't have to sit at home. I can get up and go to MHCan. I have something to do. I have people to talk to. I have friends. The positive friends. I can't handle negativity too good.
Right.
I'm really serious about that. But I can go there and like the people that's sitting here with me, I can go to Matt if I have a problem. Hey, come help me with this. I can go in the computer room. It's just a lot of help for me with me being the age I am. Yeah. And I mean that. And Sarah Leonard.
She's awesome.
Can't
She's
say enough
awesome.
about
Can't do better than that.
No complaints.
Now, if people are just hearing about MHCan for the first time, and I can't hardly believe that they are, but if they are, and they had any interest in making a donation of any kind, either cash or in kind, is that something that's possible to do?
Definitely.
Yes. And once a year, we send out, what is that, during the holiday? We fill out those envelopes. Remember when we did that?
Yeah, you could donate anytime you want.
You can donate
anytime. There's people that go in and put change. There's a jar next. Some people just go in and donate because for their coffee, and just anybody could donate.
And
is there,
clothes, you can
now,
donate
is there a donation
clothes.
link on the website?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there?
MHCan.org for people who are watching the show and will watch it again when it's rebroadcast. This is a wonderful group of people, wonderful organization, and people who really are helping one another find the dream again, which is what we're all hoping for, I think. But I'm very pleased to be involved to the extent that I am now, and I look forward to working with all of you, and look forward to the next shadow speakers over at the Red Church when we're serving the bagels over there. And I know Matt comes over, and Adrienne, it's nice to see you again. Tina, a pleasure, brought your son along. But all of you doing such great work. Any final thoughts? Just do we have a moment or two? Any final thought?
Please support Mhcan because it is unique. It's peers supporting peers, and most of the mental health or county programs in any county is not peers. It's so-called professionals and experts and whatnot. But this is very empowering, to work with peers.
Wonderful. Intentional peer support. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Adrienne, Matt, Tina, Helen, thank you all so much for being here. This has been Steve Pleich. Thank you for watching Voices from the Village, and thanks to all the folks behind the cameras and out in the engineering room who always do such a great job in making this all happen. This is what makes the magic happen here at CTV. So thanks again, and tune in next time for Voices from the Village. Good night.